Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this week's video. Today's video is highly requested. I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough on all of my aquariums, my 3 ponds, and all of my fish tanks. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing it. You know what's going to happen. I've done this before. I haven't done one in a while, so today I'm going to be updating you on everything I have. Let's get started. Next up, I literally don't know why I said next up, like it's the first tank. So first up, I want to show off my 15-gallon AQUARIUM column aquarium. Now this is just a basic 15-gallon aquarium with a few light plants. We have a nice school of tetras in here. As you can see, I believe there is 6 of them. And these tetras just add a nice little schooling aspect to the tank. We have this angelfish in here who's doing awesome. I've had this guy for a super long time and he is really thriving, honestly. There's also a tiny little rainbow shark. He likes to hide under this Anubias right here. Overall, this is a super simple freshwater tank. Very cheap, and really it's something anybody can create. This is one of my favorite tanks just because of the simplicity aspect of it. It's just such a simple and nice tank, and anybody could set one up literally exactly like this for super cheap. Moving into something a little more complex, we have the jellyfish tank. Now these guys right here are my 3 moon jellyfish. So here is one of them. This is probably the biggest one. Now I have had an issue with these guys kind of shrinking. They get fed either their dry jellyfish food or baby brine shrimp every single day, but they're literally shrinking. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but they're shrinking. Like, this guy is super tiny. They've been alive. I haven't had one die. I haven't had anything like that. They just shrink. They just literally get smaller. So it's kind of weird. They're doing their thing though in this jellyfish tank. I've been trying to keep their tank as pristine as I could just so the jellyfish, you know, thrive, and just I'm trying to keep them as happy and healthy as I can. It's not always easy, but these guys are definitely challenging pets to keep. I will say that. The next tank we have has had some issues. So this is my 36-gallon goldfish tank, and there is 1 happy, healthy goldfish in here, as you can see right here. Now, we do have another goldfish in here, and he's up and, yeah, well, he's not dead. Okay, he's not dead. He's been doing this for like a month now, and it just hasn't gotten better. So basically, he does this thing where he just floats to the top all the time. So I've been giving him Epsom salt baths. There's Epsom salt in the tank right now, and I've been trying to feed him some peas, and sadly nothing is just really helping him. I do directly feed him to make sure he gets enough to eat. However, things are not looking too good for this guy. I've tried so hard. I've done tons of water changes with this guy, but I'm not sure what his future is going to look like. I don't think it's going to be good, unfortunately. So he is just hanging in there with the last bit he has left. I don't know what his issue is. He literally just floats to the top. Every time he tries to swim down, he just bobs right up to the top. So I definitely think it's a swim bladder issue. I'm going to continue with the Epsom salt baths and just see if it gets any better, but it doesn't look like there's much we can do with him. This little guy, on the other hand, is doing absolutely great, which is good. Unfortunately, there's just nothing we can do about this guy. Next up, we have this 55-gallon tank. I actually just made a whole video about this tank last week, so I'm not going to go super in-depth here. This is a beautiful 55-gallon lightly planted aquarium. Like I said, I went totally in-depth on everything you see in this tank last video, so if you want to know more about this, just check out that video and it will literally talk about this whole tank in depth. But since that video, nothing here has changed. Moving down into the stand, we have this mess of a tank, which actually does need more water. There's just a sponge filter and a heater in here, and this is just where I have a whole bunch of baby guppies. This is kind of a grow out tank that was an accidental grow out tank. There was some guppies in here that I moved, and then all of a sudden there's like 5,000 babies. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of dirt down there, and that's actually good. That provides the small fish a food source, and it's actually very natural for them. I am gonna go grab some more water to top this off because we've lost some water with evaporation. These guys get fed a couple algae wafers a day, and as you can see, it's doing them really good. There's a ton of fish in there with a ton of hiding spots, and they're doing awesome. Next up, we have this sad mess of a tank. This is my cherry shrimp breeding tank. Now what would happen is I would take cherry shrimp out here about every week, take them to the local fish store, and then sell a whole bunch of them on eBay. Well, ever since the United States Postal Service, USPS, has fell apart, they have just jacked up all of my shipments. Shipments that are supposed to take 1 to 3 days literally take 8 to 10 now. Shrimp were arriving dead. It was horrible. It's just, they need to get their act together before I can start shipping shrimp again, because it's just too many dead shrimp on arrival that I can't absorb that cost. It's literally just not worth it because the Postal Service can't get the packages to the people like they're supposed to, or like they used to be able to. So this tank literally just sits here and does nothing. There's a little automatic feeder on top. but I can't do much with this tank right now just because the Postal Service screwed me over. Next, we have my turtle tank. Remember, we built this little basking area for him right here. So that's his little above tank basking area. He loves it up here. He's up here all the time. He begs for food through the little holes. And then here is the 40-gallon aquarium right below him. So here's my turtle. He's super huge now. He's just loving life, as you can see. Nice filter going. He's begging for food as always. This guy's super fun. He's super interactive. As you can see, he always wants food. As soon as somebody walks into the room, that's all he cares about. He's very, very food driven, but he's doing really good. We have a couple small fish in this tank. As you can see, there's some guppies in here, just some normal brown guppies, and they're just living with him peacefully. And overall, not much to update here. Next, we have my 36-gallon planted aquarium. My turtle is still begging for food. We have some angelfish in here. As you can see, this black angelfish, that little striped angelfish, there's an orange angelfish, a whole bunch of guppies are in here. We have a whole bunch of plants. I also did a complete tour video on this tank not too long ago, so if you want a little bit more in-depth video on this tank right here, you can watch that video, and I talk about all the equipment and everything that runs this tank. This tank's really cool because it's a corner tank, so it fits in this corner. It is very old though, so I might be replacing this soon because I'm afraid it's gonna like break. It is like 15 years old or something. I got it used. But it's an awesome little tank. I love the shape of it. I love the bow front. And it's been good to me so far, so let's just keep our fingers crossed. Moving over here, we have my 120-gallon saltwater aquarium. As you can see, things in here are thriving. We have all those bubble tip anemones right there on the left, creating basically an anemone island. There's so many of them, and the clownfish just love it. They're in and out of those anemones all day long. It's their heaven. Got some nice elegance coral right there. Hammer corals in the back, and then soft corals kind of throughout. Have a couple large fish, my large naso tang right here. We have a sailfin tang and a fox face. And then just the mix other fish, we have Nemos, we got Dory right there. We have some cardinal fish in here. There's a couple shrimp in here. There's a sea urchin. And then we just have a whole bunch of coral. Okay, the naso tang, get out of the way. Come on. So overall, this tank's doing pretty good. I just gave it a water change yesterday, so the water should be crystal clear and the fish should be nice and happy. Let me see if I can find the urchin though. The urchin actually walks around with coral on its back. The naso tang's in the way. Okay. You see that waving hand pink coral right there? That's actually the sea urchin underneath it. It's hard for you to see, but he carries coral on his back to camouflage, and so that thing right there with those pink waving hand corals, that's actually the sea urchin. But other than that, the tank is doing awesome. The fish are super happy, super healthy, corals are thriving, and the 120-gallon reef tank could not be doing better. Moving outside to the koi pond, we don't have too much to update here. We actually did put in some more rocks along the rock wall. The ducks are screaming, of course. But there's not much to update here. It's getting colder, so plants are dying back. We still have all of our koi right here, but the plants are yellowing and they're just starting to die back, basically. As you can see, not as many lily pads. These guys are still going strong, but the water hyacinth's dying off and some of the water lettuce has some yellow leaves. The ducks, I let the ducks out yesterday all day. The entire day, they like roamed the entire backyard and they loved it. They did try to mess with the pond a little bit. They knocked some rocks down, as you can see. I monitored them the whole time to make sure they didn't get in the pond because they like to thrash it. And now they're just begging to be let out again because they think they own the place. Back to the koi pond though, everyone in here is doing really, really well. Just as I mentioned, weather's getting colder, and that just means that the plants die off. There's a whole bunch of like new growth of these lily pads down at the bottom, but I don't think they're gonna surface just because the water is getting colder and the plants are just dying basically. Like you can see all these little yellow leaves. It's just sad. The pond looks so great when all the plants are happy, and now the plants are just all dying. Other than that though, the fish are happy. There's a catfish in there. Not sure where he is. I saw him a few days ago though, so I know he is alive. And there's also a PETCO in here. He's pretty small. He's only about that big, but I saw him a few days ago on the side of the pond as well. So I know they're in here doing good. I will have to remove them as it gets colder. That's going to be an interesting thing to try to do. Try to catch a PETCO in this huge pond. And then as you can see, there's just a few little mosquito fish on the surface of the water, but other than that, the koi pond is doing awesome. So moving on into the front yard, we have our last two ponds. This right here is that Aquascape mini pond. As you can see, we have some pothos plants up top that are doing awesome. We have some bamboo right here, and then we have the bowl itself. The floating plants are not doing good. All the water lettuce died, and the water hyacinth is also dying. Floating plants are just not my thing. The fish in here are doing really good. We have a dwarf gourami in here somewhere. And we also have some white club minnows, and there's a platy in here that's also doing good. So the fish are doing really well, the floating plants just are not. Last but not least, moving on to this 110 gallon pond, things in here are doing really good. We have a whole bunch of baby minnows. They're kind of hard for you to see, but we have a whole bunch of little baby fish in here. The pothos plants are doing awesome. Once again, floating plants are all dying and depressed, but the pothos plants are doing like super good for some reason. Then we also have 2 koi fish. There's one of them right there, and there is the other koi. So the 2 koi in here are doing really good. There's also a pleco, but he hides a lot. I'm not quite sure what he is. But overall, that is pretty much it for all my tanks. If I sound weird, by the way, it's because I have some teeth whitening things in right now. Ignore that. But like I said, that is the wrap for all of my ponds, aquariums, everything that I have that has fish in it. You guys saw today. This was a nice little update video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was requested by a whole bunch of people, so I thought I'd go ahead, give you guys what you want, and just show you everything I currently have. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and good